Do you buy vinyl?
My name's Eddie Richards.
Hi, I'm Steve Buck. I'm at Amoeba doing a thing called, what was the name?
First time I went to New York, I went to the Paradise Garage. Saw Run DMC play live and Dominatrix, they were doing a set, and it really blew me away. I thought it was like really different. I never heard anything quite like that. The show was really good. They were both live. I mean, I went to the Paradise Garage twice, once just to see Larry Levan play, but the other one was they'd hired it out midweek or something, and they were Run DMC were playing. It's great. Anyway, Dominatrix.
I start with something completely different. This is probably the most influential band on my musical career. This album, because I was young, I discovered it quite late. And today I found the picture disc. So I'm really happy. Yeah, The Cure is definitely my biggest influential in music. I've been listening to it as a kid and growing up, and it's been a long time. I think you really discover music after you listen to it a few times. I still put it on sometimes to listen to the whole album.
Three imaginary boys singing my sweet child on moon well train your mind.
This is a Payday track, and I remember that when the rave scene started in the UK, they became really huge. You know, 25,000 people were going out to these raves. They had one in a grain silo where U2 used to rehearse, and it was massive. It was so big that when the smoke machines were on, you actually couldn't see where the people ended. This starts off with the piano break, and it's really recognisable. So when the piano break starts, you can see this wave going like down the back of it as the sound travelled backwards. All these people were like, we were like 40 feet up in the air on this. Had to go up this little ladder to get to the DJ booth. And it was an incredible view, and I just remember as the piano started, I just saw these people go, into the background. So yeah, I remember that for that.
I found this old Todd project record, The Weekend, and another track called Wanna Dance, but the Weekend track really reminds me of the first club I've ever been to listening to house music in 87, 88. At the time it was normal that people would dance facing each other or like having their eyes closed.
That's what's been lost, I think.
Yeah, it's nowadays everyone's just staring at the DJ instead of, you know, like listening to the music and getting into it.
The whole DJ setup is set up like a band where you've got speakers and DJs on the stage. You know, I prefer actually to be out of the way for people to face one another.
It should be about the music and not the visuals. I mean, it's a lot of the fist pump thing, and a lot of people, I think they come to the club and they want to be entertained instead of just contributing something to the party. The whole thing changed, like everything changes over the years. So
yeah. But
yeah, this is a good reminder.
First,
you found a Visage record? I've been looking for it.
Really? I mean, I haven't actually got this album, but Visage, they started at a small club called the Blitz. They started a whole scene, a new romantic scene started there. It got so popular, I think Boy George used to work in the cloakroom for them there, and they knew like Heaven 17, they knew Spandau Ballet with their friends, Ultravox. It was all a little crew. It became actually the most popular club in the world, or voted the best club in the world. And I was resident DJ there from the beginning. So this guy was my boss.
I picked this one, Ennio Morricone, something completely out of the club world. This is an album I got from my mother. I stole from my mother, kind of, from her collection because I liked it so much. He's been touring again. I think that's because of the 60 years of Morricone. And he also had a show in Berlin, and we got lucky and got tickets. It was a great experience. I think I'm not a big fan of classical music, but there's a lot of classic elements in his music. Yeah, very storytelling elements. It's without his music, a lot of movies wouldn't have been the same. There's one track on the album with the singer, and she did like this opera kind of voice, and yeah, it was amazing. Really goosebumps. Everyone like.
This was one of the tracks that was Carol Jiani's called Hit and Run Lover. I was DJing in a pub in our local town. Mostly you weren't welcome in most of the clubs if you kind of dressed up a bit weird. So I had all the waifs and strays turn up to the pub that I was playing at, and they used to bring in tracks, and it was pretty much a gay crowd really. So we used to play a lot of Bobby Orlando, you know, and Lime and just gay disco stuff, and this was one of their favourites. That one of them brought in for me to play. So I really like all this kind of music. It kind of led me on to, you know, that's where I first started to mix.
It's another band of my youth. I think it's the album I've been listening to the most. It kind of explains my music nowadays. Maybe even though it doesn't sound any close to it, but I remember sitting on buses going from my hometown to a skiing vacation resort, which took like 20 hours, and listened to the album. I had it on both sides, and yeah, this definitely helped me getting to places.
Okay, it's actually my last one, but this is my favourite label just because it was so quirky. I mean, look, it's got a spaceship there, and I was thinking, I have got to meet these guys. So when I first came to New York, I just knocked on the door. I was expecting some like big record company thing, and it wasn't. They were operating out of a really tiny space, and they were so blown away that someone from London had come to see them. Right, they just gave me a whole pile of their music, and of course Dinosaur L as well. It's just, you know, music itself is really quirky, Arthur Russell, and I still think it's one of my favourite ever labels.
Also a late discovery for me. Herbie Hancock. I was looking for another album, but this is great too. Today, a lot of DJs play music that is basically not older than 3 months. Some DJs even say they only play stuff that hasn't been released. There's also another fraction that's only playing old stuff, which I think is also stupid because that's not the idea of DJing. It's also to discover and educate and introduce music to people. There should be a balance of just trying to find the right music for the right moment, and then it's gonna be the greatest night.
Very good.
I appreciate it.
That's not bad.